everyone, and welcome to A Procurement Podcast, the Reform Rundown, and our new YouTube channel. So I'm Fleur, I'm a co-host along with Chris, and we have been doing podcast episodes on Apple, Spotify and Amazon for about the past year, focusing on all things Procurement Act 2023 related. So we started our podcast journey back in about February 2024 when we were just having a discussion, and it was sort of suggested to myself and Chris, why don't you start a podcast episode on this? And it was never anything that we had thought about doing. And it was just like, well, why don't you talk into your phone about the Procurement Act? And that is what we did, and 24 episodes later, this is where we are. So first off, I'd like to say a massive thank you to all our listeners for supporting us on our podcast episodes. We had an amazing season 1, which we sort of ended just before, like the week before the Procurement Act went live. We've had a little break, little time for thinking and planning, and now we're coming back with season 2, and we thought, why not come back on YouTube as well? So here we are. So welcome everyone to our YouTube channel. So let's get into a bit of discussion about what you'll see from A Procurement Podcast, the Reform Rundown, on our YouTube channel. So as I mentioned, our first 24 episodes and season 1 focused all on the Procurement Act 2023, what we were seeing in the lead up to go live, which was last month. And we talked about all the key topics, news, updates. We had some amazing guest speakers, and we really enjoyed focusing on that, as it was the major change in public sector procurement regulations. Now it's gone live, and obviously we're all starting to work under this and exploring the new regulations. We will, of course, continue to talk about the Procurement Act and its news, updates, things that we're hearing, learning, experiencing. So that's not going to go away. We are definitely going to keep our Procurement Act related content, but we're going to take this opportunity to just branch out and delve deeper into some generic public sector or procurement in general topics, and have some discussions between myself and Chris, and use our experience and our backgrounds to really discuss, get into and talk about specific topics. There is so much that myself and Chris can talk about in terms of procurement experience, and of course, one of the key questions, how did we get into procurement? So whilst myself and Chris have very similar backgrounds in terms of our procurement career, we have found that in discussions that we've had so far, in terms of episodes, that there are still many differences in terms of our experiences and ways of doing things, which we thought would be a great to bring to the podcast. So, for example, and this is one of the topics that will always get us, is social value. We have very different experiences and backgrounds in terms of social value, and we thought, let's bring this to an episode. Why don't we have this discussion and talk about it? It would be great to see differences, how things are brought into procurement activities differently. So that is one great example that hopefully at some point we will be able to bring to you and we can talk about it. But we do have very similar backgrounds, very similar experiences, but we do have these differences, and that's where it's great. That's where we can have these discussions and really talk about the topics, explore them from different angles, and we're quite excited to be doing some of this. Yes, we've enjoyed talking about the Procurement Act for the past year, and we will of course continue it, but let's just talk about procurement in general and talk about specific topics. So if there are any topics that you would want us to talk about, do let us know, get in contact with us, and we can definitely add it to our list. I know that Chris is planning some videos that he wants to bring out in terms of procurement models, so make sure to subscribe and for when those go live. So yeah, this is what season 2 is going to be on A Procurement Podcast. The Procurement Act, some amazing great guests that we've got lined up, and some more generic procurement related topics. So what will you expect to see on our YouTube channel? Well, so we have 24 episodes that were on Apple, Amazon and Spotify. I still can't believe I say that. But we have videos which were available to access on Spotify. So we will be bringing the videos from the majority of our episodes, albeit the first few which didn't have videos, we caught on quite quickly about doing these videos when we were recording them. So the majority of them will have them, but apart from maybe the first few. But we will be bringing all of our videos and podcast episodes to YouTube. And then obviously when new episodes go live, they will be coming out as well. So I'm sort of hoping that we might be able to do at least one podcast episode per week, so that we can build up our playlist of episodes. And that will be bringing all of season 1, and then it will merge into season 2. Alongside this, as I mentioned, we're looking to do some procurement specific videos. So we will see how we get on, but we might try and look to bring at least one episode of a generic video to the channel as well. So hopefully you will start to get podcast episodes and procurement generic videos, which we are very excited to be doing. We are very looking forward to this. It'll be very different, but something that I know that we will really enjoy. We love talking about procurement, which is crazy, but we really do love talking about the different topics, exploring them, and really deep dive into them and exploring how they can work. So that is what you can expect from our videos on YouTube. So there is one big shout out that I do have to do, and that is to my co-host, Chris. It has definitely been a journey since we started this podcast just over a year ago, and something that we really didn't know what to expect from when we started it. He also talked about this in his welcome intro video, in that whilst we have very similar procurement backgrounds and experience and knowledge, we definitely bring different skill sets to this podcast, and that is definitely true. So I bring a lot of the tech experience, and I do all the editing. Everything that you see in terms of the graphics editing, that is all done by me. But we wouldn't be where we are without some of Chris's amazing scripts and the questions that he comes up with. That really does make the podcast what it is. And somehow, with my experience, his skill set, my skill set, we just really clicked, and it sort of really works, and it brings out the best of each other's skills and abilities. And I definitely couldn't do this without him. So, and I don't think he could, it's very similar. It's similar to what he said on his video. So yeah, thank you, Chris, for putting up with me. It's been a journey, but an exciting journey that we're looking to continue as we start season 2. And I do wonder what this next year of A Procurement Podcast, the Reform Rundown, will bring. I think it's going to be very exciting, and definitely by the plans that we've been talking about, I'm looking forward to it. And I hope everyone here on YouTube will enjoy it as well. So make sure to go check out Chris's welcome video and his intro, which I will link in the description below if you haven't seen it. So that probably just leaves me to welcome you all to the channel. It would be great if you could give this video a like, and of course please subscribe, as that will really help us out to grow this channel. If you want to check out our previous podcast episodes, I would also include the link to the playlist, which once they start being added will grow and grow and grow. We have 24 episodes, so definitely look to check that out once we've started uploading our episodes. So that just leaves me to say, let's start this YouTube journey for our podcast, and we will see you in the next episode.